And we are. And you did action. All right. Would you all please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Yeah, it's good to see a somewhat full house here tonight. So before we get into the regular board meeting and the public hearing before that, Becky's going to take over for the special town meeting. I'll let you do your thing. Yep.
Call this special town meeting to order. The first order of business is to nominate a moderator.
Lorraine Faraday.
All right,
Second.
second, okay, now I just need 3 written votes to see if she gets the job. Short.
Yeah. Reading the scribbles. Yeah.
All right, ma'am, would you like the job?
No,
Spence.
suspense, here I am, okay. I, Lorraine Faraday, do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state, so long as I shall continue a citizen thereof, so help me God. I do swear that I will faithfully discharge to the best of my abilities the duties incumbent on me as a moderator of this special town meeting according to the Constitution of the United States, laws of the state of Maine, and the charter and ordinances of Damariscotta, so help me God.
I'm really happy of that. Lost mine away for that.
Play ball, right? Okay.
Thank you, Gloria.
All righty. Well, if Josh isn't here, I can stand up.
Yeah, you can take your spot, all right. Yep.
Sit down. I could do that one, I don't think. Okay, can you hear me in the back?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, we're okay? Yeah. Okay, all right. The Article 1 was to choose a moderator. And Article 2, to see if the town will, 1, accept from Coastal Realty Capital LLC the conveyance of approximately 5,800 square foot portion of tax map 1, lot 52, located on the westerly side of Heater Road, and more specifically described in a quitclaim deed to be recorded in the Lincoln County Registry of Deeds. And 2, authorize the select board to take any and all actions necessary to finalize the documents and payments needed to complete this transaction and payment of outstanding property taxes on this property. I have a motion to accept this. Hello? Okay, and a second? Okay, thank you. All right, any discussion of this? You want to explain it maybe?
Andy? Sure can. It's a simple one, but some folks may have some questions on.
So a few, I don't know how many years ago, the town embarked on, if you will, trying to take ownership of a portion of Heater Road. The town garage is located on that. So the first 1,000 feet is what the town sought to try and acquire through a previous town meeting vote. It's just this past year that we were able to get the deed signatures and everything settled to take over the ownership of that first 1,000 feet. In that research, it was discovered by the surveyors that this piece that's being considered today was about, in total, was about 50 feet by 200 feet, directly into the power lines and abutting the town garage property, sitting behind Hannaford's property and abutting Heater Road. So we had needed about 20 feet or 25 feet of the property to be able to lay out the right-of-way of Heater Road. And so they've conveyed that to us. The residual piece is what's described here, under the power lines and within the CMP right-of-way, unbuildable, unusable for that property owner who is currently going through a dissolution process of their LLC. So they're interested in just releasing themselves of the liability. We would have an opportunity not to do a lot with it, but abutting our property and to work with drainage or other needs we might have that wouldn't interfere with the CMP easement as it abuts our town garage.
Yeah. What was the remember what the outstanding tax was on someone? It was like
so they didn't have a tax bill until this current tax year that we're in now, and that was a $46.95 bill.
So you just gotta eat $46 for the, yeah.
That'll
Pass
be-
that around the room, we'd be fine.
Right. Oh,
So the
That's
total
the-
amount would
thank
be
you, Andy.
for this current year's assessed tax, and then as of April 1st, whoever owns the property this year, April 1, would be assessed as owner for what the tax year bill that would be coming up. And so it'd be two tax bills essentially, one of which they wouldn't presumably be the owner of for the majority of it.
Yeah.
So it'd be a total outlay of probably $120 in taxes.
Right.
Okay, any discussion on this matter, for or against? Samuel?
Well, since I saw that on the website, I thought. Knowing that there's the whole housing crisis around the state, which you already know. Think that the property could be very useful and try to alleviate some of it to provide housing. Such as an apartment complex. Unfortunately, when I looked at the road, it's all dirt and it needs to be paved. And of course, space needs to be given to cars, which we all know. And I already spoke to Andrew Dorr earlier about you can't build anything within the corridor. So it's still a good idea to be away from it and put up a barrier saying, don't go within this property. And I found that there are restrictions when using specific materials for building. If you use wood, you can only do 3 stories. If you use brick, you'll be able to do 5. But if you use granite for columns, you'll be able to reach 6. And in fact, but since the cement plant's closing down, it's going to be harder to obtain cement to concrete. I know we have deals with Canada to supply. However, as I said, concrete is going to get more expensive due to the closing of the plant. So simple materials would be easier when you can know right off the bat, I know how to do this, I know how to build this. And it'll be easier to build in a very short time.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, this piece is so small that, yeah, it's underneath the power lines and it's
I didn't want to talk your head off.
rather unusable, but great ideas. Thank you, Samuel. Yeah.
Well, someone did tell me about using something for public works. And how would that obtain, what would that obtain? What's that word again? Obtain to, or do you know what word I'm
I
saying?
think I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the kicker is it abuts the existing property and they've got some drainage, for future, not expansion necessarily, we can't build something there, but there's, it gives you a little bit more elbow room. You're not right up against somebody's property if you have to worry about drainage going onto their property or something like that. So it just gives you a
That's
little bit of
true.
elbow room to work, yeah.
But still with the apartments, you won't have any problem with the drainage anyway. It'll still be underneath.
But this property isn't built big enough to build anything, even a small.
Actually, well, there are apartment buildings that are the size of a house. In fact, you could build upwards instead of something so wide. Because I'm not saying about skyscrapers, okay? I know we can't afford that. Just something simple. If you could do at least 6 stories, it would definitely make a difference. And that'll be it.
Something to keep in mind. Pen,
Put a motion on the floor to accept.
or just anybody speaking for or against this particular motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Right, motion carries. That's the end of the special meeting.
All right, motion to adjourn?
Perfect.
Sir.
Thank you, Lorraine.
Do you have a second?
Yeah, so,
I do Stigler.
yeah. Yeah, I heard a second over here from myself. All right. All those, do we call a vote for adjournment?
What?
All those in favor of adjourning that particular one? Now we go on the next. All right. All opposed? All right. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, all right. Well, let's move on to the next on our agenda. We have a special, a public hearing. And this is in regards to the Village Grill for an application for an on-premise license. Is anyone here from the Village Grill? You got a representative right there? You have your speech and your PowerPoint and all ready to go, or?
You see it. Yeah, if anybody smelled fish, it's definitely me. I come right off the boat.
It's cooked.
So it is.
So,
me.
You don't have to come up. It's just, it's an open meeting. If anybody has any questions, comments regarding this, application, this is the time to bring them out. So, nothing online. So not hearing anything. I'll, close the, public hearing regarding the on-premise license for the Village Grill. And with that, I'm going to call the Damariscotta Select Board to order for Wednesday, June 5th. Before we get into our housekeeping minutes and such, I know we have a few folks here that are waiting for application stuff. So for instance, Village Grill, we have Why Not, and we have Green Alien Cannabis here as well. Anybody here from any of those? I know Why Not, you're here. Yeah, I see you back there. So typically, folks that need to get back to work or at restaurants, I'll ask the board if they don't mind if we move up a couple of those applications in the docket here. So if that's okay with everybody. All right. So we can start with, so if we look at our official action items, number 5, well, so we can check here. I think everybody's reviewed the applications as presented. We did have Why Not got in just in time there, so I was able to get in the, down staff. So, so if we start with 1, we have a renewal for adult use marijuana store Green Alien Cannabis.
You do have someone on the.
Oh, we do. Okay. Yep. And see. Hi there. Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah. We just get your name. Are you coming in from Green Alien?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm the compliance manager. My name is Brian Harnish.
Okay. Gotcha. We're considering your renewal application right now. Does anyone have any questions for Ryan while he's online? You're there? Okay. So with that, we can entertain a motion for a renewal.
So moved.
Dan, you taking it? Okay. Dan made a motion. Andrea, you gonna second? All right. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? All right, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Josh, I should mention that Josh Minkham is absent tonight. That's the empty chair down there. So, all right, so you're all set with your renewal application. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any pickup times for those for this one? We can go through them all at once, but generally,
That one, we will be pending a payment for the
Yeah.
annual license fee itself, but
Okay.
sometime after you submit that, sometime next week.
Yeah, I'll get that to you on Monday.
Perfect.
awesome. All right, well, moving right along, we have the Village Grill for the on-premise license, which we just had the public hearing on. Do I have a motion on the table for the Village Grill? Dan's gonna move that one. Tom, you seconded? Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? All right, that is 4 there. All right, so Village Grill, you're good. Same thing, Andy, with that one. When should,
That should be okay for tomorrow.
tomorrow? Okay.
So, what's my next step with you guys to make sure?
If you're able to come up tomorrow, we should be able to have it signed by the clerk. The board will sign it tonight, and then I think she's got to kind of stamp it.
So then Brandy Burns is the one I'm dealing with the state. Now is that, after I get the certificate from you guys, I would contact her and say, hey, I've got the town approval.
Yeah, you'll get the town approval, the application packet you send to the state from us, signed by the officers and our clerk, and then you'll take that packet, that application, send it to the state.
Okay.
Yep, and then they'll issue your license.
Now, I did do I need to have another check or anything? I did a $45 fee, I think it was.
Not for us.
And so other than that, we're good. And I can come by what time tomorrow?
Sometime afternoon if you can.
Afternoon?
Yep.
Before,
We're open till 5.
so I can make that happen.
All right.
Am I good? So,
Unless you want to stay to the end.
okay, I'm gonna step out. Thank you.
All right. And then let's do one more while she's waiting there. So we have the application for the on-premise license for Why Not. We've both had a chance to look at that. So, yep. Tom, are you making a motion on that one?
Make a motion on that.
All right. Thank you, Tom. I'll second. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Good there. All right, so you're all set. Same thing on that one, Andy?
Same thing, yes.
Pick up tomorrow, soon. Before I leave, is there gonna be any conversation about the parking lot tonight?
I'm sure. Yeah.
I'll stay.
You're not going anywhere yet, so. Just ask Jeff. Everybody, are you have the mic, are you okay with sound? All right, yeah, we usually have the mic up here, but Jeff's got a nice new setup so we can hear you all, so, yeah. All right, so we've got a couple things out of the way for you folks, and then we're gonna move through some of our housekeeping here. We have the minutes of, yes, Andrew, sorry.
That's good.
Okay, we do have the minutes of May 1st. You all got a chance to look at those, I suspect, okay? Any changes, additions, everybody good?
I think it looked good.
Okay, awesome, all right, I'll make a motion to move the minutes of May 1st.
Second.
Tom's gonna second, any other discussion? Nope, okay, all in favor? Right, we're good, yep, all good. And so financial reports, there's 2 payroll warrants and then 1 accounts payable. We had payroll 57 and 58.
Make a motion to approve 57, 58.
Awesome, thank you, Tom.
Second.
Andrea seconds. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? All right, all 4, that passes.
Yep.
And we have accounts payable number 59. All right, I'll move that. And do I have a second? Dan's gonna second. Any other discussion? Oh, okay, all those in favor? All right,
Minutes of the 15th?
We
No,
approved.
it's the first,
I
minutes of the
I
first.
forgot to add them apparently.
yeah, we just had the dates on there. We had it the 15th, it's the first. So we did a correction on here. Good eye, Lorraine. Thank you. All right, let's get back on track. Okay, so yeah, we can move into, I suspect we have some citizen comments and do you have any correspondence, Andy, come in that we need to go over first? Anything exciting?
A petition came in over the week.
I did, yes, I did.
We saw
So, yeah, we saw that. And we have, we're gonna move into citizens comments here in a second. I suspect some folks are here. I know most of you out there, so we're here for the Main Street business petition, which is great. We'll hear you guys. I know we do have a gentleman here, is also here for public comment as well. Yep. So I guess, I'm not sure who wants to go first, if we wanna.
You got one on the agenda of Main Street,
I
the
think you should do
petition,
that
so.
one
Yeah.
first.
You want to start
Yep,
with
so
that
let's start with that. So is anyone here to speak to the Main Street business petition? We can have you come up. Anybody wants to? Yeah.
What's this Main Street business? Is it, what are you talking about? The groceries? Is it like a grocery store?
So Samuel, this is there's a project that's happening, the back parking lot improvement project. And there's a lot of moving parts to it. So there's some dates set. And we have some folks here that are concerned with the dates. We all are concerned with the dates.
Anyone can be concerned, even
Yeah,
when you think of
yeah.
the delay,
So
but there have been things that were worse, not just in that parking lot area.
sure. Yeah, go ahead, Pen. Yeah.
So I think maybe a status update as to where you are from last Tuesday's meeting on an extension on terms on the grant on the
Yeah.
270-day period.
Mhm.
Any feedback on that? We'll start there, I guess, would be a good place to start.
Sure. So since the meeting, the feedback we'd picked up from the meeting was a request to see if it was possible to shift the project start time from the fall, which is what the contract currently is saying start by September 1, and push the start time into the spring. The concern raised at the meeting was noting that the significant portion of the gross annual sales from some of those businesses in attendance happened in the fall rather than the spring, and the business impact to them with the 130 plus spots not available for a month or two months to up to 3, could be devastating for them. So with that, I'd followed up with our engineer who reached out to Crooker Construction to see if it was possible. One, we needed 2 things, right? We needed EDA, the funder, to be able to extend, basically the request it would be to extend the project length to start in the month we're supposed to end, when the funding is no longer available. And then the construction company would have to be willing to basically sign an amendment, if you, hopefully it would only be an amendment to the contract, to take the project that they've got slated for September 3rd start and push it into the spring. So they'd have to be able to simply put, swap out one project for another. Otherwise, they've got a massive hole in what would have been a fall lineup. We'd have to understand, is there a price change? Can we afford that change? So we did ask both parties those questions to understand if it was possible. The construction company doesn't have a project at the moment that they could simply pull into the slot if they were to push it to the spring. They
Right.
did indicate, though, we didn't have them run numbers to understand what the additional cost would be. They said it would have a change in the price to push it out to the spring.
Did they have availability in the spring, though, Andy?
They didn't, we didn't get that far to see if they did. You know, our challenge was, one, can they do it? What's the cost change to us if they can? So they answered the question. They don't have a project to put in the fall. They didn't say whether they're available to do it in the spring, but their projects list is filling up for the spring.
When do you think we're going to answer from them?
I haven't asked to clarify the question. I was mostly hung up on the fact that they don't have the ability to swap it out because it'll leave a hole and there's an increased price. If the board would like me to go down the path of asking them quicker to run the numbers to find out the price, and if they can put it in the spring, I can do that if the board would like. EDA did.
Well, I say, go, what did EDA say? We've got a couple of that as well, right?
Right, so-
Yeah, what'd you get back from EDA?
EDA's original grant award was April of 2020, effective April 2020. They look at these projects that they award these funds for no more than 60 months of time to be completed. We're in the second, it was a 2-year period to complete it. We asked for an extension for 2 more years, which we're in. And then you've got until April of 25 to hit where you hit the 60 month period. That's April 14th of 2025. And so I asked them, is it possible for us to get an extension beyond that? They said if we wanted to request that, we'd have to appeal to the not the regional office, which is a lot easier to deal with, but they'd have to go to the DC branches or offices and ask the bigger agency if it was possible to go beyond that. The turnaround time on that, I didn't get an answer how long that process would take. The risk we run if it takes too long, dealing with the regional is relatively quick. And all they can do is grant us from, an additional 12 months to get to 60 months, which we have to do now anyways. That turnaround time is a couple of weeks from what it sounds.
They need to take it to.
So the town has to ask for an extension regardless, right?
To get to the 60-month mark. Yeah, we aren't.
Well, what I mean is whether the project starts on September 3rd or April 3rd, the town still has to ask for an extension.
To get to 60 months, correct.
Right.
But it's a different,
With the regional committee, yeah.
Right, so if the town has to ask for one extension, can't they, I don't know what would hesitate, why you would hesitate to ask for both?
So the risk we run, if they allow us to ask for an extension beyond 60 months, which is when they expect these to be done, we have to appeal to DC. We have to have what we need to justify the extension. If I could finish, we have to have and provided them the justification to say, please let us go beyond your normal 60-month period. And so in doing that, I don't know the turnaround time. They didn't tell me how long that might take.
It's not quick.
And so we run the risk of 2 things. The decision coming back too close or after September 3rd with a contract we already have executed with a construction company. And we run the risk of them saying no.
So I guess my question though is, even if the project starts on the plan September 3rd, is it gonna be done by April 14th? It doesn't sound like it.
Not at the current time that, with what we
Right,
put in there. We
so-
told EDA when we submitted the construction checklist that they had to review. They reviewed the bids that came back. We said, here's the lowest bid that we're looking to award. Do you agree? Do you accept this? Yes, okay, we executed the contract with the contractor. The next step was a full construction checklist. In there, we said we would need until May 28th. So they know now that we need until that's 270 days from the start, till May 28th. So we know right out of the gate, we're expecting the need for that extra month and a half. And so I need to figure out how to work that with them, which is a lot different than, in their eyes, a lot different than waiting to start until the 60th month. And then we still run into the challenge of not doing construction in the summer, because that's what we heard loud and clear last fall, and then possibly coming back in the fall if they don't finish in the spring.
It seems to me that if the project was started in, say, March, it would be done by May 28th regardless.
That's not,
I mean, I know it isn't a 270
It's if you can start in March. Yeah. If you've got weather, yeah. The risk is starting in the spring I'll start this. I hear everybody. You know, I have a business downtown. Okay. So I'm just as affected as everybody else. All right. There's no good time of year to do this. The reality is we've been boxed in a little bit by EDA. What Andy's speaking to is historically the timeline when, yes, we're not looking at a local ask here. This is federal government money. So by the time it goes through the regional committee, it gets sent up to another board to look at it, and then it needs to be presented in DC. And they meet quarterly,
Didn't get the
maybe.
timeframe.
So it could be 2 months before you get an answer back from a major extension. Right now, the extension that Andy's referring to is already kind of in the works. We said we might need this time. It's already been considered. But going out beyond that is a totally different animal. And it's going to have to go back to, back through that process. So it's much harder. The contractor right now is set for, they have their work schedule set out. They bid on it for fall work, not for spring work. So that's, when we accepted that bid, that's the bid that they had come back on for the money amount. We have a fixed amount of money to work with. If we go back out to bid and it comes in higher, there's no guarantee that we have the amount, or EDA is going to give us the extra money to pay that contractor extra for moving it out, so there's a lot of risk here. So,
Is the wall part of this $3 million?
the wall, that the deployable Roger is a separate, that's not, we don't have that RFP together yet because they're still,
I guess it's a part of the same grant.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes, for the same grant. Yeah.
So that has to be done by April 14th as well.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a
So
separate.
That will be done over the winter, probably, right?
It was a deployable. It's not a solid installation, right? So it's a mobile wall. So that's something that just needs to be purchased. But they're
Engineered out. Purchased.
what's that?
Engineered out and all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And unfortunately, the board was presented, this is going back, this has been a 5-year process here, better. And we were presented several times with some options. They're great on paper, but unfortunately this last January, when we all had some experiences with real world experience with this. So now that information has been given to the engineer so they can base it off of what actually happened instead of like a hypothetical, going, yeah, Ben, did you? Yeah.
No, I think I have a couple of comments to help push this forward. I think where we are is we're in less than a 90-day window for the beginning of breaking ground on this project. There's no traffic flow program. We have our plan. We haven't seen anything from an economic impact plan on what's going to happen in C1 district. We haven't seen any integrated marketing plan on what would be done to help offset that. We have 36 to 40 residents just on that side of the street. We're talking 20 parking spaces. Forget building owners, forget customers, forget employees. We're talking 20 or 30 parking spaces for 36 to 40 apartment dwellers alone. We're going to jam a festival on top of that. That's going to bring 15,000 people and close off the other side of the street that accesses that side with no interaction with us. We're talking about bringing 8,000 people into that parking, stopping construction to add to that timeline, to have something, and then re-begin the project again. Think of it from the business standpoint of it's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare for everybody. And the perception is that there has not been a lot of forethought on the impact on downtown. And we are less than 90 days out. We have multiple businesses in downtown, some of which have been open 20 or 30 years. They're talking, they will go out of business. They will go out of business. And that, we could be looking at 3, 5, 6 businesses going out of business as a result of this that need to make cash revenue to get them through their payrolls in the winter.
You guys, at that meeting we had, you guys were gonna get the data, non-personal, but consolidated data on the cost, the net cost.
Yes, right. So
There are two things that have to come together for this to work. And number one is, can Crocker do it? And what is the additional cost? And if they say no, game's over. If the EDA says no, game's over. So
but I think we're talking micro and macro, because we've had a 60-month window. I know that there's been multiple iterations. I've been aware of all of that. We are less than 90 days out, and now we are having these conversations. That is extremely problematic.
I agree.
You have a petition where 37 out of 40 businesses downtown are telling you that you have a massive problem.
So that, we had this discussion before about working to some solutions, and we're just talking about what the practical barriers are. So my question to Andy is, did Crocker give you any indication as to how long it would take him to cost it out, and what would there be an additional cost to us?
Tom, they've got it's putting the bid back out again. It's a new RFP, you know, it's not gonna, yeah, it's not, I mean, it's as simple as.
I gotta say, I'm kind of upset that Crocker wasn't asked that when you asked them about this whole project last week, like that's, it's just another 1 week delay. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me.
We had, I can speak for there was 3 bids that came back, you know, we're limited on the amount of contractors that will do this work.
Right, but my point is there.
So we do have to work
Call
around.
Crocker to say, can you change the date? And they said, blah, blah, blah.
If I,
Why didn't
I
you
can
say-
read the email if you'd like.
Go ahead, yeah.
If I'm allowed, if I'd like to, I can read the email.
Yeah, go ahead, Andy, sorry.
This is from our engineer who reached out to the foreman of the project. I spoke with Ian Messier at Crooker today about the business concerns for the timing of the parking lot construction. I asked about the implications of pushing the construction start to the spring of 25 as the business owner suggested. Ian confirmed that the change in schedule would result in a cost increase with labor rates and material cost increases. He would also end up with a rather large hole in the schedule, and there are not many opportunities to fill with larger projects. Most projects bidding now are for the spring of 25.
Yeah.
The direct response I got from the engineer after asking the construction company if it was possible.
Yeah.
Did you mention material, the rising costs concerning material?
They cited that and labor rates as part of the reasons for why there
In
would
the
be a cost
response.
Why are they
increase.
getting delayed?
Because we're asking them to.
Well, I think I know what the problem might be. It's not them.
Well, we'll keep,
Reporting something about this because it's always it's not hypothetical. We already know, we've seen what will happen. The first 2 weeks of December last year, where they were doing all the business on the other side of Newcastle, blocking off routes, our business, I did the numbers, was down 40% during those 2 weeks from the previous year. There's no reason to think that will not be the same this fall or worse. People, basic human behavior, people avoid a problem. If they think it's gonna be a problem to come to town, they can't park, they're not gonna come.
and that's where.
We rely heavily on, as you know, summer and fall. They did not know the fall for us is 40% of our gross for the year, the entire 12 months.
These are all, we hear you guys. I know, yeah, I'm right downtown there with you. I understand this.
But we were also told we couldn't do it in the summer either.
Well, that's the worst time.
Worst time, right, yeah.
Why didn't you just ask what the best time would be instead of what the worst time?
Why are we having the discussion now, or why were we having the discussion a week ago?
Well, I mean, Ben, to speak to that, this has been a 5-year process. So let me finish. So this has been a 5-year process, okay? This has been advertised, we've been meeting. I can speak on behalf, I've been downtown with you folks and been side by side filling sandbags when we've talked about this together. So we're talking about a 5-year process that everybody's been aware of. And some people haven't, but most folks, you know, the guys are in here now, all been aware of this. There's been plenty of time to come to these meetings to speak up. We don't have, hey, government doesn't have all the answers. The reason Andy called the meeting there last week was to bring you folks in, bring us all of us in to help. Okay. So I'm not a glass is half empty person. Danny, you know, you guys are excellent business owners. You guys know what you're doing. All of you downtown do. And I don't think you give yourself enough credit and each other enough credit to pull this together. We've been through COVID. We were shut down for months and months. And guess what the business of downtown did? They pulled it together. They came up with a plan. Now, right now, we don't have a parking solution because the town doesn't own property to put people in parking on. That's why we brought we need that conversation. So, hey, what can we do? Let's think outside the box. There's a great idea about putting together a working group of 8 to 10 of your peers and come up with some solutions. The reality is we're all up against a hard spot. Okay. EDA's limited us. They actually, I don't think Andy said this, but they actually want us to start earlier.
They asked if we could start in August out of concern that we won't get done within the 60-month window.
Yes. So the conversation went the other way. They want to start earlier now. And same thing with Crooker. We had three bids come in for this. We didn't have 50 different contractors that we could pick and choose from. We had 3. It's a hard place to be, but I have complete faith that the downtown will survive, business will survive, because you guys help each other out.
Help each other out with no customers. What am I gonna go buy something from Danny?
You might, you advertise, you go, I heard some great ideas from Emily that was in here that night, and she was shut down by a few people. We have to think outside the box.
If you like thinking outside the box.
There's no parking.
You get evening, there's no construction, help us with parking then.
Hey,
I'd love to.
Come up with some ideas, Roger, instead of being the negative one all the time. Come up with some ideas.
For reals.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Look, the board's not gonna entertain moving this. We can't. I'll say that, you're not gonna like what I said, but it's flat out. We can't entertain moving it. Go ahead, Ben, sorry.
So, I think we go back and forth. This isn't super positive, but we dance back and forth between tourist dollars and local dollars.
Wait.
Hang on.
We dance back and forth between both of those. War chests are built on both. Core revenue is based on locals. War chest money is built on tourists. We're gonna take both of those off the table. The event in October will take, it will be good for some restaurants, absolutely. For retail, nobody is gonna wait for 5,000 or 8,000 people for a shuttle, wait in line, come downtown. And this is not being negative, this is just retail.
No, it's
behavior.
busy. Yeah.
They're not gonna buy a lamp or something large, then stand there with their 2 or 3 kids, wait in line to get on a shuttle and go back off-site to park and carry a lamp or something larger around all day. That will not happen. That's basic consumer Then we lose the prospect of getting our core locals that are, our Tuesday through Thursday, our Monday through Thursday crowd because lack of parking. We've seen direct impact. What's going on in Newcastle right now? I will tell you right now, every time that we have a traffic backup, it's about 15% dip I take. Nobody wants, none of the locals want to deal with it.
What do you mean track back up?
Fixing the roads.
So I see it, doesn't matter which day, out of 6, it's a 15% dip anytime there's a traffic backup from Newcastle right now. Imagine no parking in the back parking lot. That's my personal concern. So
what, to add, and I'll ask, not just you, Ben, but so I'll back up a little bit. Regardless of when this happens, if it happens in the spring or happens we still have the same problems. We still have parking. We're not solving any of that, so I'm asking you, it doesn't matter when it happens, you still have those same problems, so.
we would have built tourist war chest dollars to get us through that tougher time. Now we take both off.
Spring is 10% of our gross revenue for the year. It counts and it helps, but it would be much easier to get through it as a business.
So it's not gonna be negative, it's just. There was a lot of anxiety and there's a lot, we've got
It's got the floor there, hang on.
Sorry.
Hang on a second.
That's all right. When you talked about maybe starting it 2 weeks sooner, I mean, I've owned businesses in Booth Bay Harbor here. Usually that week before Labor Day usually does really slow down because people are going home to get their kids in school. If we started 2 weeks earlier, we might save more parking for Pumpkin Fest. I'm just thinking if we kind of.
Thanksgiving time, when they're worried about their retail.
Right, I mean, I just think that if we utilize really the numbers, like I said, I know the last 2 weeks of August can always be, sure, you do okay, but I think it definitely is not as good as you're gonna do during Pumpkin Fest. I don't care, and is there actually going to be parking behind Rennie's and behind where Keller Williams? Or is it And it's just the middle of the parking lot, not usable.
Do we know this? Well, it was primarily the.
I mean, I can't tell you is exactly there's 20 spots here and 10 spots here. What I know is when we talked to the construction company, we said, what footprint do you need? Here are the things we need to have from you and you need to coordinate. We need to make sure there's a way for emergency vehicles, freight vehicles, boat trailers to be able to get through somehow through this parking lot to be able to launch, because not every of those big vehicles can come in off of the other end of Main Street. The corner's too tight. So we said we have to have a way, and they're going to want a way to get trucks for themselves through. So we said that needs to happen. If you can salvage any parking spots in there, we would really appreciate it. So what they're looking at, as I explained last Tuesday, was pretty much no parking in the middle of the parking lot and along the water from the boat trailer parking to the bathroom. So the other end, kind of behind Art's Sake and Rennie's there in the post office, there's a few spots that'll be available there. I can't say right now exactly how many until they get it set up and we say, can you tighten it up any?
Okay, so directly, so there's absolutely no parking in front of my building. So is there going to be any walkability there? I mean, I know this affects everyone, but it truly affects us 150%.
Right.
So.
You have a back parking lot entrance on the door,
Right.
right?
And I have tenants and one of them is an elderly woman. So I need to make sure, because I just spoke to her about this, that there's a way that she's not having to walk, you know, from Metcalf's up around, down the alley to get upstairs. So if someone at some point maybe could let me know what that looks like. I mean, am I closing for 8 weeks? I mean, those are things I need to know.
So you layered a few things there, if I'm hearing you correctly, about the tenant. You know, I'm not sure exactly if you're asking for a dedicated parking spot for the tenant. I'm just trying to understand.
She needs to know that she's parking down by Keller Williams. Is she going to have to walk her groceries and stuff up and around to get upstairs?
Oh, okay, that's easy enough to address, you know, with the construction. So I mean, there's obviously a limit to what they're gonna block off towards your building sticks out, other than the bathroom, the furthest on the back sides there, right? And so, not that it's easy to traverse the slope coming off of Kobe and Gale down to your pond feature when the tide's up, but you know, we could talk about, can we make sure there's a gap for pedestrians to get through along here?
A big
So-
issue. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna, based on the hang panel, we just.
I was gonna say the other one is unrestricted alley access from Main Street the entire time during festivals. I mean, that is how tenants are gonna walk in and out. That is how any prayer of people coming down there, blocking off those alleys with barricades is.
Yeah, they'll be, I mean, they'll have to balance, right, of course, safety, right, so their construction area, but I think, you know, these companies like Crooker's done this before, these guys have, you know, they've done these large projects before, municipal areas, so I can't speak for them, obviously, but most of the folks that do this know they can balance out the needs of pedestrian traffic and whatnot, where they're gonna be. Unfortunately, a lot of times you don't know until they get on site and they start their process, right? And then they can identify. So one of the things that we haven't buttoned up yet, but we're in the works, is we're looking where the town is going to have a liaison. I think the construction liaison, basically. The projects are getting big enough now that it can't all go on, you know, Andy double duty with Public Works right now. And a project like this, there needs to be somebody that's not there 24/7, but it's available to address be an interim between the town, the contractor and whatnot. So a lot of these questions, like, you know, perfect question, how do I access the back of my building? Oh, you know, we don't want anybody, I don't think legally we can block off anybody. So you still have to provide access, ingress and egress and whatnot to your building. So that stuff would have to be talked about, you know, fence setbacks for safety, whatnot, dedicated walkways, things like that. Go ahead, Ben. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm still going back to what I just mentioned 90 seconds ago. It's barricading it Thursday through Monday for Pumpkin Fest. It takes the alley's access off the table.
How does that? If you barricade the.
So there's one alleyway that I'm aware of that has vehicular access through to it, which is Warren's. Taco Alley is a pedestrian access, which won't be impeded with a barrier.
Well, it is good.
People
It-
drive past it, people drive down it all the time, moving through it, so.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure. You're talking about
The public, there's a public pedestrian
Pedestrian.
access that I'm aware of.
It can be a pedestrian vector, especially for people that want to get out and around.
Right, yeah.
And then I think something to take into consideration is human behavior. How many people come to Pumpkin Fest on autopilot and do not pay attention to a bunch of stuff and are gonna show up here and not know about the construction?
Well, Pumpkin Fest has been, I mean, they plan on not having that parking. I mean, when they do their layout, they don't plan on using the parking lot. And that's why they have their off-site parking and whatnot. So, I mean, honestly,
But the masses that don't pay attention.
well, there's a lot of uncontrollable stuff. I mean, there's a lot of what ifs, man. We know that. There's a lot of what ifs. I mean,
That's
that's,
the civil
yeah.
engineering portion of
if
that.
If I can offer,
Close down.
if I can offer the messaging to folks coming to the event, they've built out in the last couple of years a pretty significant social media presence, an advertising and marketing presence for the event. They've gained a bunch of followers. They have an app that Jeff actually created. So they have a way to push notifications to people looking to come to the event. So there's ways that we can work with partners, businesses, organizations in town to get the word out. No, there isn't a concrete plan written out for this. Part of that is working with the working group that folks asked to be created. I've got 8 people that have said they'd like to serve on that. I've got 3 businesses after that meeting that have given me data on sales stuff. I thought there'd be more. So I mean, but we need your involvement. We need your help. It's, you know, we're willing to try and find a way to make things work, but we do need your input and your help, right? Last Tuesday was one meeting of the stakeholders specifically on Main Street to try and target and get you to come in and hear a little bit more, understand the concerns. We're hearing you. We just need to work together to figure out how do we solve this, right? Is there still a chance that we can get things to be pushed? I don't know, right? You run a lot of risks by going through and saying, can we go beyond 60 months? Right? We've already got to go back to the construction company
And
and
I
say,
don't think,
hey,
I honestly, speaking for the board, I don't think we want to push you into taking that risk. We pushed this out and pushed this out and been at those timelines. How many times now with extensions, not on our end. This is uncontrollable because they kept changing, EDA, FEMA came back with different, you'd get somebody new would come in and say, oh, I read it a different way. And then it would shorten up our time and another extension would go out. So, I mean, you're talking the last 5 years, of changes and whatnot. And the prices have gone up significantly since then, as everybody knows. So sorry, Andrea, go ahead.
Will it help at all to try to get them to start in August so that we can clear up more of the parking lot for the Pumpkin Fest? More will be accomplished?
I'm not sure the goal was to, for our sake, was to meet anything for Pumpkin Fest, right? And so when we're saying this so it can clear up for Pumpkin Fest, it sounds like there's a much bigger issue at stake for the businesses than just that one weekend, right?
I mean, that's the first,
Okay.
I think that's the first, the board, I've heard from anybody talking to downtown that there was a preference to do it earlier. I think the
Right.
balance was trying to get it out of summer and not everything, but I mean, if
That was a clear message received, yes, from a smaller group, but we reached out last November and had a couple folks from here, at least one from here, in that meeting. I reached out to a small group of people that had key access points to the parking lot, right? So we have multiple business owners that own shared access to our property. I thought it was important to reach out to them. Folks I knew were very vocal in the last one. I couldn't start with a 30 people group or more, right? So I chose, you're right, I chose to bring in about 6 or 7 businesses to provide feedback for the RFP that was about to go out. We've been up against a time deadline from the time I came here, right? With the delays we
Yeah,
received from
this
FEMA, we
wasn't-
spent over almost a year trying to get FEMA to approve the flood wall that now isn't going to be built anywhere near what was
Yeah.
talked about, right? So we're I don't know, probably halfway through this project, we've been kind of behind and working on a ticking time bomb, if you will, knowing that 60 months is what's expected for this to be done. And so, yes, I met with only a few. We got some pretty good feedback, I thought, through that process. It was nothing in July and August. And so now to hear, well, hey, maybe we can, I don't know, if others have thoughts on pushing it into August, we can ask the construction company if they can start sooner. I mean, gives them more dry working weather. If that's something that folks would like to have us entertain, we can ask if it's possible.
Pumpkin Fest is a 4-day, yes, it's our biggest 4-day weekend of the entire year, but it's live, it's only for the whole season. July and August are the busiest, they're just the most of the entire year.
Mhm. That's why we asked them to avoid those months.
I'm just, for us, that's what I can't speak for everybody else, but That's why I tends to work.
So starting it earlier wouldn't really be good.
It would kill part of August.
Well, and that's the consent, I think, Andy, early on, that's kind of the consensus we.
They'll lose Labor Day. I mean, it's just potential and add a week or two onto that for unforeseen issues, and we're still into the exact same place we were.
Well, it won't start till after Labor Day and.
No,
Day after.
Labor Day.
I will throw this out there too for consideration. If those of us in the room remember the three king tides, that we, this project isn't gonna solve everything, right? The first stage of this. But the elevation change at the river's edge with that low spot and the combination of the drainage, it's gonna help. I personally do not want to go through another January, three king tides in a row and filling sandbags down there. You do risk that as well. I know folks in this room lost a lot of money and goods and whatnot, and we not saying it's gonna happen, but that's another consideration. We go through that. Go ahead, Roger. Yeah.
Yeah, the money we lost in the flood would take 25 years to recoup compared to, if you take what we lost in the flood times 25 years, that's what we're gonna lose in the fall.
For the flood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the numbers are. I'm just saying, I don't want to fill sandbags down there. So I stood elbow to elbow with you right down there talking about this project. You remember? Yeah, when's it gonna start? Probably the fall. Yeah.
So when you mentioned about comparing this to COVID, is that, there was a lot of PPP stuff, a lot of help with the local businesses from the federal government. Is Damariscotta in any way prepared to help?
That's all the money, Roger. We're limited on what money we have. So you've got a picture, you guys have asked a lot of questions. How about advertising? What about tax abatement? There's more taxpayers in this town than just downtown. I've got to go, so what, part of that is pulling that step, be going out on the folks on Egypt Road and Back Meadow Road and Heater Road and asking them, say, hey, we're going to take town money and put it in here. Do you mind paying for that? You can get them to do that.
I get it, and I guess the reason there was like, we're literally grasping at straws and to try to help, to try to save downtown, frankly.
I don't agree with you. I've been 28 years I've been downtown.
No, I mean.
And I've seen this.
Not you guys, I'm saying like the people, like the business owners are grasping at straws, trying to figure out how we can make this as least destructive to our business as possible. And so that's why we're throwing out that idea.
Yeah.
I mean, so I just started retail 3 years ago, and I would never, ever, ever have guessed in my previous life that the fall is really important for retail. I just wouldn't. And now I know that it's literally crucial to the survival of a business to have a good fall to carry you through the lean months. I mean, it's
Sure.
It's in some ways I'd rather have a slow summer than a slow fall, frankly.
Ben, go ahead.
One of the things that were discussed, being in that first meeting, I think part of my frustration is that a lot of them were not brought up in the Tuesday meeting. We talked about exploring a communications plan. We talked about a traffic management flow plan. That wasn't, I think a lot of these things would have been allayed of like, hey, this is the ingress and egress. We talked about 18-wheeler deliveries in the fall. How is that gonna happen? We talked about a lot of those points and none of them came, or the vast majority of them did not come forward at the last meeting.
Not in a defined solution yet,
Right,
no.
yeah.
No, but it would have been, so there's a lot of months in between to say, hey, Crooker, how much width are we gonna get? What is your traffic flow plan? Is there a signage plan like we had before? I think that's a lot of the frustration, is a lot of the points that were brought up to explore are now being brought up to explore it less than 100 days out, like, hey, let's explore it now. Like, we talked about a lot of this.
So, as far as great points, with the deliveries and things like that, right? So the construction, Crooker is gonna be, they need to control their construction area. They're not, part of their process is not gonna be on Main Street or directing, to traffic and deliveries and whatnot. They need to control their area for safety and get it done. So what's gonna, we're all responsible downtown as business folks and whatnot, that, yeah, we all get deliveries and stuff comes in, right? We're gonna have to get in touch with our vendors and find out, where Main Street, I see Main Street deliveries all the time. 18-wheelers, I'm they park in front of me every day.
No, and I.
Problem, we get them there.
I
We
think-
get them there.
I think the more the part of it is a project of this size and scope, of an impact of the town of about, 2,400 people. Something that should have been factored into the bid process is some sort of civil engineering plan to say, hey, I have 36 to 40 residents just on that side of the street. There are 40 businesses downtown.
Yeah.
What is the planning that goes around that? And I think that's where we're all kind of spinning, like, that portion feels like it wasn't done at all. It's like, get the project done. We are on a timeline. We have to do it now. We'll figure out all of the other stuff. Oh, by the way, on the side.
Yeah, so I know you've worked through federal grants before,
Yes,
am I right? Yeah. So let's understand I mean, this is new to me when I started, I didn't realize how many strings are attached when what you're allowed to do and not do with the money. There's, I can't give examples, but you only do so much with what they give you for money. So if you go outside what they consider a scope, like, it's a good point. Why is, hey, there's no traffic plan and whatnot. Well, it may or may not come out of that EDA money, to put the contractor on that. So there's things that you can't necessarily do because you don't know where the money's coming from to pay for it. In perfect world, yeah, it would all been hammered out but
that should have been a discussion point here before, in my opinion, as a resident and a voter and a taxpayer.
well, I think,
And with the construction company.
yeah, I
Amongst yourselves with a construction company, however, but it should have been part of the phases to get this program, to get this project to where it is. Instead of spinning at the last minute.
I think, Ben, your point, part of the process has been that the town, and I say the town, I'm not talking about town government, but the town, right? Let's talk about the downtown. Folks have always worked so well in getting things done and problem solving that, once this was figured out, said, this is when we need to do it. Let's figure out how to do it. And again, that's Andy's reason for bringing you guys all in on this early on. And I say early on, we only do as early as possible, but bring everybody in and say, these are folks here that can help figure this out. I'm going to sit and tell you, I don't have all the answers. Just because I'm sitting on this other table, somebody voted for me. That's all this is. So I don't have the answers. I'm in the same boat, trying to figure out, where are we going to park people? The biggest thing for me is I would love to see this working group get together now. A lot of folks expressed interest in it, and we need to look at, hey, let's get the employees out of town. You have to alleviate some parking. I'm going to get my employees out of town. We can't park downtown right now. I need to leave what I have for parking spots for my customers, my clients, and move around. So those are the things I think we need to work through. Yeah.
But your business entity has the ability to do that. The vast majority of the other ones downtown do not.
So we do have some ability to do that. So let's use that. I'm going to turn my hat around now. I'll speak for my experience downtown for as long as I've been. We've been through, like, Chase Construction. We went through a lot of different things. He's shaking his head back there. I've seen the Main Street's been ripped up more than once. The sidewalks have been torn out. Deliveries still got made. Stuff still came in. My lot downtown has been used for deliveries. I've had Cisco trucks sitting there more times than I can count. And this is what I'm talking about, of using your neighbor, asking for help and saying, how can we make this work? We're all in that same boat. Yeah.
During the sidewalk renovation, didn't a few businesses go out of business when that happened?
Roger, it's long enough ago that I honestly, I don't remember. But I'm not sure. I mean, I'm talking 20 years ago.
Maybe I shouldn't have phrased that as a question.
Yeah.
When the sidewalk project happened, businesses went out of business.
I don't know the answer to
No,
that.
that's not, I'm just making a statement. That's not. a
Well, I
question.
don't know. Did they?
Yes.
Okay. For sure 20 years ago, they went out of business. Okay. That's fine. I'll believe you. I just say, I don't know. That's all.
I can say that I had dinner within the last 2 months with somebody who owned a business downtown, and it said it took them 3 years to recover from the sidewalk project.
When they did it, yeah, this was a long time
3
ago.
years.
Okay, yeah. So I honestly don't remember it was that long ago, but I know that I've done. But again,
That's a long.
I unfortunately, again, it was a project that had to happen. I don't know what was done then for.
We're not arguing that the project.
Nobody's arguing that the project doesn't.
Yeah.
I think it's where we are in the time period we are and how we got here. And we are heading into probably our busiest season. It's an, oh shit, let's scramble, excuse my French. Let's try
Hey, I
and
hear it.
let's figure this
Say
out.
whatever you want.
So who's, I'm not calling people up, but who's, you've got folks that want to be on the working group that have have reached out to you, yeah.
believe we're
You
at
don't have to
8.
write
I
it
can
down, but other
remember the
folks in this
7 at the
room
moment.
What's that?
I believe we're at 8. I have 7 I can remember and wrote their initials down right now.
Gotcha, yeah.
But it's I got 2 that are residential tenants. There's 2 that, one that currently has a restaurant, one that's going to have a restaurant, plus retail. There's a couple other retail folks. So I feel like it's a pretty good mix right now of the 8 we have.
Is there nobody from the chamber here tonight, right? I don't think we had chamber.
Someone from the chamber did reach out and offer to serve
Yeah.
on that. Someone from the
Yeah.
board.
So as far as, leaning on advertising and I'm gonna call the chamber out because leaning on helping the business out and advertising and whatnot, that's what chamber's for.
Right.
So if you belong to the chamber, that's your go-to to say, hey, we got this thing going on, if you belong to them. Yeah, so, because I know, that's what they're set up for.
I know you're the board head. I'd like to hear some commentary from.
Oh, there's.
I'd love to hear some other commentary on where they think we are. And thoughts on this.
Well, we are where we are, and I agree with what, Darryl was saying. We need you guys to work with us because, we can't just say, this was a mistake, things weren't done, they should have been done. Because we are where we are and we have to do something to get ready. And there are a lot of solutions that can be developed. So if you're not on that committee, or if you are on the committee, you got to roll your sleeves up and figure it out. And then we'll see what's left over and see what we can do about that. But we can't just, say the sky is falling, we can't do anything about it. It's probably too late to do anything to shift this.
Wouldn't mistake my commentary for that. I'm Darryl vouch for. I'm downtown 6 days a week, working 50 hours a week. So I'm down there rolling.
I wasn't saying it to you. I wasn't addressing it to you. I was addressing it to in general, okay?
I hear you that you guys are caught between a rock and a hard place, and it's and I hear that, and I wish there was a better answer. As others have said, some of the project needs to happen. I step back a little bit and look at it and understand that one of the biggest threats to downtown over the long term is sea level rise. And if we don't do something about it today to address it, you say, and we put that at risk, and we have to go through another 5 or 10 year process to try to get the funds again to try to do something about it. To me, that would be a colossal failure on our part as a town. And if it was because and so I'm concerned about that. And so at some level, that's my overriding concern, is that we have to, we're not just thinking 1 month, 2 months, 6 months. I think we're talking generations here is what we're thinking about in terms of the future of the downtown. We are where we are in some ways. And as Tom and as others have suggested, I'm going to guess there's no perfect solution here. No one's going to be happy at the end of the day. So it strikes me that we got to figure out what is the best way to try to mitigate some of the issues that we're seeing here. And to me, that's the common sense approach right now, is we got to figure out what we can do. I don't have all the answers, but my guess is that some of it's going to be, as Darryl suggests, is that neighbors are going to have to help neighbors. Businesses are going to have to help each other. We're going to have to come up with a parking solution to the best of our ability. Maybe I know that just being in the downtown area, that employees take up a lot of the parking spaces as well. It's just the reality of it. So maybe the businesses are going to have to say they're going to have to park up at the marketplace, up the road, and there has to be a shuttle. It's those sort of things that I think you're going to have to think about. Maybe there's other businesses adjacent to the downtown area that we can talk to as well. For example, I don't know, has anyone's talked to the First? Maybe the First has some extra parking that maybe they could free up. So those are the kind of things that I think we need to be thinking about. I hear you guys. I hear the pain. I don't own a retail business downtown right now. And so it strikes me that's what has to happen today. So
I'm not in the chamber, but I know that the chamber will do whatever they can to help. And I also am a member of the Rotary, and I think I'm happy to ask the Rotary to see if we could put ombudsmen on the corners, or giving directions to people like during the Pumpkin Fest. Rotary volunteers for tons of things, and I can ask them, and I'm sure they'll step up to help, but that's the kind of thing we need to get going, you know. And maybe even the local churches, because they're not, and we're not talking maybe on Sunday, but other times they have available parking. And it's not that far from downtown. It's definitely within walking distance. And if we put that into a plan and communicate it, you know, through publication, the paper, whatever, LCN News, in advance and on the website that you know, we talked about, it should help. It won't solve all the problems, but it's going to help.
But we do need to try and reach out to everyone in town to pull together to see if we can find solutions that are gonna help. You know, and I think that there are some things out there that we can do to try to help you. Cause that, the last thing that we want is for you to not be successful. You know, we need you. You are the town. I mean, you're our merchants, our business people, and we need you.
And idealists. Right? I guess he agrees.
What's that?
And not just merchants, but also idealists.
Everyone, all citizens.
Ideas, yeah.
Well, I have an idea. I'm not sure if it's my turn yet.
Well, hang on, Samuel, yeah.
I think, I think those are all positive steps forward, and I think we're gonna need to come together as a group and talk collectively. I think that the venue, we're probably spinning a little bit right now. Just take into consideration and think long that the back parking lot is not just for our side of the street. It's Dave Block, it's all of his employees.
Right, oh, yeah, yeah. No, there's a huge, wait, you know, I mean, we've got the issue with the apartments downtown.
Well, not just on our side of the street.
Right, no, I agree, both sides, and unfortunately with the apartments downtown, they don't provide parking for their tenants, you know, and I mean, there isn't, but regardless, there's parking. It's
Yeah,
very,
I'm trying
very
to shift it to
difficult.
a non-business
Yeah.
focus, so you guys think of it from a, so
Yeah.
I mean, you have a lot of single parents with kids that are working second shifts at large business entities around town. It's really gonna be hard for them to park offsite and get their kid and get groceries and take a shuttle and walk. So please think about that for the residents downtown.
Yeah. And like I said, you know, there's, you know, I understand there's a lot of motion here because this is, you guys, we all know what's at stake everywhere. Sometimes, you know, not having all the answers is frustrating for all of us. Unfortunate reality is sometimes when like a project like this, once the contractor gets on site and can see what you need that construction manager to come on and say, okay, this is what we're working with, let's identify places. Then you get kind of it's kind of work in progress type of thing. I mean, we've all seen it on construction sites where they start, you know, hey, the plan's great, but then once they actually get there, you know, you say, okay, we need to identify this lane or this lane and move stuff around. So Roger, go ahead. Yeah.
Can I ask that when the town is putting together their think tank, you know, with the business and everything, that maybe they could invite Crooker to be part of that as well?
I would think that if we had a representative maybe, or what,
Is it gonna be raining today?
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
So is that something that maybe we'd ask Andy?
I can ask, I don't know.
usually the engineer.
There's gotta be a project manager for them for this project, right?
So if I may, I can ask the question of the engineer, of the contractor, their willingness to come in. I mean, they've built in some, especially the engineer, right? They've built in certain amount of time that we've agreed to pay them for, right? And so being mindful of that aspect, I'm not saying no, I'm just saying being mindful of their availability and what's right. And so, but yes, we could certainly ask of that to see.
My reasoning for it is just if we're talking about logistics, if I'm in the room trying to help logistically figure this out. A lot of stuff that I would be thinking about is how Crooker is gonna be doing their stuff. Like, it's really very important to make educated decisions with having their live information.
And it's a good question, Roger. Your point, I brought it up earlier. So we're been in the process of finding a liaison for construction management, and that's what their role would be. Because we wouldn't be able to rely on the foreman from Crooker to be at a meeting, you know, if they're doing the job, right? So you would have an interim, like if.
That we hire.
As the information should be.
Either Crooker's.
Right, and that's where that in between would be.
Either Crooker's in-house project manager who flows information down, I mean, you and I both saw directly what Chase X looked like when they showed up and they had zero.
Yeah, it was in
Free prep.
Yeah.
On, oh, there are apartments here or.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, we've talked early on, we've talked the last couple of years about, especially with this larger project. Of having and you've looked at a couple firms, but we're still trying to find somebody that would fit this specific bill. To be that in between, because it really needs somebody that if we have issues downtown, right? You know, something's happening. And you have a voice, right? Andy, as town manager, won't be able to, he can't live down there. You need somebody in between to do that, so that can go to Kirk and say, hey, these folks might need this over here, or can we work with a little bit more room here, or so on and so forth. And that's the idea behind having that, it's not a construction manager, but it's, oh God, there's a term for
Well,
it.
we call it like an owner's rep kind of thing.
Yeah,
Right, you have your project manager from the engineering firm will be there on site inspecting, being a kind of a resident throughout for that aspect of it, but for the non-construction related stuff, like kind of the business impact, the community impact, that kind of stuff, communicating to the public, that's the kind of thing that the engineering firm's not currently.
But I don't think that's what we're asking. We're asking them to sit in. If we're gonna discuss logistics and flow, and what part of the parking.
Well, that's where the owners,
Yes.
the owners rep would come into play, right? Because they would, yeah, the perfect world, that's what happened. If we can get, we're still trying to find somebody. There's not a lot of them out there. There's only a few firms, and generally they have somebody in-house with your, the point of me.
They should have a project manager.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, the construction company does, right? They do, but what I think would be more effective, and what we talked about is you want somebody working for the town. So we would like to have that owner's rep that it works for the town, that can step between and say, hey, you're always going to get some bias if you hire the contractor to do it, or if you hire the engineer. There's always a little bias there where you have an issue, right? The idea behind having somebody that just represents the town, like, hey, we have some citizens, some landowners, whatever, that are having, you know, have some concerns. Let's figure it out, and they can work with that. So
I think we got it.
Yeah. I think we're on the same page.
Updated on how the hunt for that is going and when it's filled, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just been in the works for a little bit, but it's hard to find somebody. Yeah.
Are you gonna actually have no traffic coming down Taco Alley during this?
I wasn't aware that traffic does continually flow down through track alley.
Well, yeah, there's
one way, so there's people that drive up and down it all the time.
I don't work and like spend a lot of time right in that location, right? I'm just saying, I appreciate you sharing. It's information for me to now know. Maybe it's possible traffic can still flow in out of those spots then during the construction.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe it's possible traffic can still go in and out there during construction, and those 8 spots, I believe, can be utilized.
Left alone?
That's a question now that we can entertain, right? And so.
Because last time they were in the blue, last time they were in the picture that you had shown, that you said that was where the staging area or something that they had to do, it was blue.
From the other perspective, looking from the main parking lot back towards Taco Alley, right? Yeah.
Where the electric chargers are.
Right, yeah.
That was slated for staging.
Right.
Okay, so then basically, what I'm hearing, and I'm a woman, so I don't know.
It's got nothing.
All the parking on that side and the 2 measly little parking spots I have in front of the building are going to be gone. So if there's a barricade on Taco Alley for traffic, because I cannot imagine Crooker's gonna want people driving down there. That takes basically any amount of even walkability.
We should have walkability, shouldn't we?
I would imagine folks could still walk through Taco
Exactly.
Alley, but.
Well, of course, people.
Yeah.
Walk to a staging area, you're right.
So
I, for my own
A lot of construction.
sanity, I really need to know sooner than later what that entails for me. I mean, if nobody can even walk there because it's a staging area, I'm done.
And they get employee parking, but we won't have anybody. I mean, we won't even worry about produce or product coming in, because no one can walk there to go and eat, so I don't care about deliveries.
From originally, the tank has been shrunk up, I mean, originally it was going all the way up, past Rennie's, Andy, right? It was, and then
The
they,
tank itself was gonna go to in kind of the center of the bathroom, I believe, when the engineers kind of did the first. draft.
originally, right, and now it's been pushed up a little bit, yeah, so.
Culvert or to our little.
Yeah, so at some point,
So-
yes, because there will be construction, right in front of your building. No, it's same as in my area, right there, same place. There will be, but it's gonna be, it's hopefully it's gonna be moving, right? They'll do sections in here and there. So at some point, yes, they're gonna be working on that drainage area that we share. That's very nice there,
So
And-
it's noted. We're gonna have to find the answer to that. Gonna have to ask. Yeah.
That really is very important for us to know. I mean, if they're staging those 8 parking spots and they're
Yeah.
working directly in front, and that's a major problem. Really.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody has any
We need
intention
to
of.
know how long it's gonna be, that they're there.
Exactly, and I'm feeling if they're bringing, I know you said something about these check valves and stuff, so if they're bringing all of those into that tank. That means that tank area is gonna be open, I would think, for the duration. Tying it all together, I mean, they're not gonna put that tank in, cover it up, and then slide, hope for the best that it's all gonna connect, I mean, that's.
There's different stages to the construction,
Right.
right? Yeah, they go through different steps and whatnot.
Harder.
Yeah.
For probably 8 weeks at least. The side and the front. Is not going to be accessible.
I don't know if the side so much, because I mean, I can see the front, but
I think the best we can offer is we will find out
Yeah.
as soon as we can. Okay, I don't have an answer today. We didn't come here with those answers for today, right? So.
I'm not here between a rock and a hard place here. I understand the timing, I get it, it needs to be done, I just need to know how it affects me. And the timeline that it is going.
you need to climb through my roof to get in your building, make it happen.
We've done it before.
I know.
Try it.
She put
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Well,
Warn the people like, what?
Yeah. There's again, I understand the frustration. We heard it, and it is, there's things, something.
It's just matter of fact.
Right.
Well, and that's
I
where
mean, we're
the,
not frustrated, this
Yeah.
doesn't matter, we bought the building knowing that there was going to be a project out in front of us.
Yeah.
It's clearly not the project that is on line for Damariscotta for the back beautification of Damariscotta back parking lot. That is not what's
scope
happening.
had to change, exactly,
Which
yeah.
definitely screws that scope for a little bit with the building that we bought. So,
And
you might wanna take those plans down,
And we-
because you're misrepresenting yourself.
we can thank the federal government for changing the scope and making us not able to spend the money that we'd anticipated on trying to get that all done.
We'll get the answers.
Yeah.
We'll get the answers.
That would be, I would appreciate that.
Just the post office.
It sounds like a post office area though, and Rennie's area. Yes, it might eventually be affected, but it's not gonna be affected like the rest of it. I guess that's something that I heard from the Rennie's family that they said. Sounded like it wasn't going to affect as much as their area in front of them.
I don't think for the deliveries on the backside, but just the volume of people, what is
Right,
that, what is it,
yeah.
1,500?
No, but I'm just
office
saying,
boxes
though,
that people are gonna try
right.
and come to. Yeah.
And we did hear from someone, and maybe you could clarify, you're not elevating the whole parking lot up a foot, right?
Not the whole parking.
No, they can only do so much, yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, stairs and all of that, I mean.
I believe, and I could be wrong of the map in front of me, but I think the majority of the elevation change is in that the low spot right across, right where the water comes in,
Mostly, particularly along the river.
on the riverside, right?
So
Yeah.
the grade along the river, I mean, the engineer was sharing. It's gonna be kind of similar to what you see kind of in the front of the pump station. So there's that low spot, as many of you know, along the riverbank. When the tide gets that certain night, the water's coming. Right, so when this project gets completed, the drainage part of it, this fall, like what we won't see, we should, if those check valves are working, this river water's not gonna be coming up through the storm drains like they do now. On a high tide event, forget king tide, just a regular big tide.
Yeah, say big time.
And you're not gonna have, you'll have about a foot or a little more in that lowest area along that river front as it goes down. I think it's kind of right in front of the bathroom, I believe, between there and yours place. It's kind of the lowest spot along that river. We see that come over.
That'd be closer to the building where it's coming up.
They'll do what they kind of think to, when they put that new basin in, it'll be shifted a little bit, right? I don't know which direction, but the engineer talked about, he didn't have an exact number, how much that
There is some-
grade will change, but they're gonna try and fix that grade a little bit, because that's pretty aggressive through there.
Cause our stairs are right there. Is that going?
So again, a
is
very
there
spec-
effect of that kind of stuff?
A very specific question we can get you an answer for, I don't have today. You know, you're asking specifically about those stairs, right? So I just don't have it right now.
You know, that's something after it's over, I'm gonna have to absorb the cost of putting new stairs.
And those are, and it's, again, on-site questions that once they determine, because a lot of things can change in the field. It's starting off of a plan with some elevation changes, but a lot of that stuff can't be determined until in the field. So, yeah, but.
All questions that can be asked with an engineer and the construction manager or foreman, right, with us, right? Right, so we can sit there and point out these things that are very particular and specific, right? And say, we need to make sure this doesn't impact us, or there is a solution, or what happens when it does impact me? Am I having to pay for this, or is there help for that, right? I mean, those are things I just don't have answers for until we hear them and bring someone in to say, this is the grade, this is exactly how it'll be changed.
That's. I think it's gonna happen no matter what.
Well,
I feel like the town's back against the wall,
we thank everybody for their, for your input and whatnot. I know this is gonna be tough. I do have faith that it's not blind faith, but I do have faith that we'll get through this. I've seen it before, so it's, yeah.
Where are we with the Route 1 bypass paving project that's supposed to?
Oh, I've seen that.
What's the timeline?
With the Rotary?
The Rotary off of Belvedere.
Which
From
aspect of-
Church Street to, where's
Up
the,
by, isn't there gonna be some kind of
You mean near the
like
bridge?
top, just like from Oysterhead kind of up to Hilltop?
Not this year. Not that I know of.
I know.
The only
Yeah, I don't
the only
think
paving
so.
work that I'm aware of that's happening this summer is Bristol Road from the light to the town line. Are you referring to the survey work going on?
Yeah.
So that's a highway improvement project. The state's scoping right now. They're just doing survey work at the moment. It's in no particular work plan. The only money available in a work plan is for scoping and survey. So those checkers that are out town are for aerial survey purposes. And so when I talked to someone a couple weeks ago, that's their plan this summer, is to do the survey work. They might have a better sense in the fall of, where property lines and where right of ways are. And, my understanding is they want to do a highway improvement project. When the bypass was built, or I guess Route 1B, Route 1 originally was built, back, I don't know if it was the 30s, it was a while ago. They didn't necessarily build it with the same expectations and standards we would apply today if you're constructing a new road. So I get the sense that part of it is they're talking about, certain places where the drainage or the road bed or base is completely failing, repitching. And so they don't have it in focus yet. They said probably they're talking anywhere from 3 to 7 years. It depends on a lot of things, right? How soon can they get this done? Can they get their hands wrapped around the scope of work? And then can they get it funded? And, the state works in 3-year work plans. Some of you might have seen some of those. They post them just about every year. And they've got to get inserted in. They need to know a cost. So there's a lot of things still at play, but I'm not hearing anything about
What
paving.
about the Rotary now? Do you ever heard anything about
That's
that?
for 25.
Wait, which one?
In there.
Belvedere.
Belvedere and Route 1 supposed to go out to bid this winter.
Yeah.
And they're expecting work on that to start in the spring if all things stay on track.
and the 130 work is supposed to happen?
Middle of July, 2 days worth of work right now, tentatively scheduled for Damariscotta on 130.
We're hoping they get some shoulder work in there. We've voiced, I think everybody can agree on that.
In the board packet for today, which is online, if anyone wants to see it afterwards, is a tentative schedule from the contractor of all the LCP work the state provided. So you'll see Damariscotta on there in the middle of July.
So, working group?
Yeah, there's 8 people on the list as of yesterday. I think it was yesterday, right? So, I can pull it's, I think we were looking for 8 to 10. I think it's a pretty good cross section, so we can pull them together. I don't, if I can try and coordinate a time with the 8 plus the engineer and foreman from Crooker. It sounds like we need both of them in on that to get at least the questions out there that they can get the answers for quickly.
Really, that can help
immensely.
So you'll get an email from me this week, or probably early next week, rather, sorry.
We'll get through it. Is everybody okay for right now? We'll move on a little bit, or anybody have anything else to? I know it's a big topic. There'll be more discussions about it, so we don't have to, we're not all hammered out tonight, so.
We'll be in the parking lot.
Thank you.
Not in the alley, I hope, in this dark.
Not in Taco Alley.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah,
Oh,
don't
no,
be
we
driving
can't leave.
down
We've got a whole
Taco Bell.
packet to go through, so. Yeah, thank you all for coming. Thank you. Everybody. All right, yeah, good discussions. All right, you're here for citizen comments, correct? Yeah,
yeah, I was hoping they would listen.
yeah, no, we had a lot of, yeah, come on up and just, yeah, if you can get your name and your.
I'm just wondering, I
down
was
and
wondering who
whatnot.
the new guy was too.
Oh.
Well, anyway, here we go. As what you see from those papers over there that I delivered about a month ago, maybe
Couple weeks ago, yeah.
couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
And also, can we just get your name? Sorry. I know you-
Samuel Hewson.
Thank you. Yeah. and folks who don't know you.
Basically, I've been hearing a lot of what's been happening lately. I understand about congestion. I mean, that's been a problem. And in fact, on one of those papers, if it says Mid-Coast Rail Service, I spoke to the marketing manager. And she already knows the problem, what's been going on, not just here, but other towns as well along the Rockland branch line.
Is this for the railroad?
Yes.
Okay.
So I found out if the town, long ago, we used to own freight cars, because if you do that, you get discounts. Which means you don't have, it's like this. If you have a truck and a trailer, I have to pay for both to deliver my goods. But if it's my trailer, your truck, I'm only paying for your gas. Same thing. And in fact, there's a huge sale of surplus freight cars going all over the US. And in fact, they're very affordable. They may be old, but before any purchase is done, they must be inspected through FRA standard. In fact, my idea is for passenger trains is to help to combat the congestion of the tourist season. And of course, this other one is a rail spur behind Louis Doe's bonus redemption to help transport goods, returnable bottles, cans, etc., which involves waste disposal, which is last year when I saw the Hilltop redemption, it was closed for an entire month due to overflow of bottles and cans. I'm pretty sure you've seen that.
Mhm.
A whole month, a whole business closed for a whole month. It delays everything. And still if the town has an acquisition of freight cars, you don't have to get too many. You can start with one or two. And in fact, in this other idea, a seasonal trolley, like the one in Boothbay Harbor, which can also alleviate congestion within the town. Reason being, I mean, I've had many close calls recently, including, how do I put this? Crazy high school kids who just can't wait to graduate, including tourists who are doing this all day. Everyone's getting angry at this congestion. And I hear you from all your logistical problems that are going on the construction sites. The congestion is slowing down the deliveries. But now you got to question yourself, which one has the right of way? The truck or the train? Only one has it. What's your answer?
Well, I'm not gonna stand in front of a train.
Exactly. Because the train has the right of way and they're the only ones to ghost through the traffic.
Samuel, what would the, now I think let's say we all agree, but, shipping, trains of,
And
Played a
the
big-
best thing to do it is if you don't have, so truckers don't have to travel too far. And also there was a grave concern about their health. You ever heard of DVT?
Mhm.
Deep vein thrombosis? Because like if you're sitting in that chair for more than 2 hours, you can get blood clots. Even though the whole state limit, the federal limit is 10 hours. That's still dangerous. And you've probably heard of all the stories, falling people falling asleep behind the wheel, cardiac arrest. And the only spur that's only close that is still in workable condition is in Waldeboro. However, there are two spots I can think of for a spur. One, as I said, Louis Doe's. But then there were others when I was looking at the map outside. To be along the coast of Newcastle, which I know is going to be both. If in cooperation. However, I've been seeing many websites for many surplus cars, and Jen McNeil, the marketing manager, will be able to provide you the intel and give you the best prices. And in fact, these surplus cars aren't that expensive than you think. This isn't like buying a new Ferrari.
Who would, for the town, Samuel, who would handle the logistics of that, though? I mean, I can understand, if it was simple as owning a freight car, but you'd have to have.
I know, you have
logistics on either end.
I know that.
Yeah.
That's why, but with cooperation with Midcoast Rail Service, you will be able to. The only thing you're paying for is their gas. Just like the truck. And we own the trailer. Which gives us all the discounts we need and bring prices down. And in fact, the price hikes have not been helping at all with any of us. By rail, you don't have to use it too often, but you get one huge load, and you don't have to worry about it for a month or 2 weeks, whatever what you prefer.
I think part of the,
I understand you think it's expensive. I get it. I get your feeling, but it's not that expensive as people think it is.
well, I would think.
But
part
I
of
know that Amtrak, sorry.
That's all right. I was just going to respond to you there. I think part of them might be the issue of where rail service has, I won't say failed, it hasn't been popular in a small area like this is,
Well,
warehousing for one. And then we still have you still have the transportation needs of getting it from
A to B.
the warehouse to the town. So you still have that
Well,
truck traffic.
there
and
is
whatnot. So
there is
something to consider anyway. Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
However, for now the warehouses are mostly in Rockland as of this moment. As you know, it's the industrial park that handles all of that. In fact, if any of our local delivery services don't get it, like say today, due to obvious reasons, or if they're an hour late or so, they'll take it to the warehouse and await them. And in fact, the issue with the congestion is, we all know it, it's Wiscasset, Reds Eats. It always congests and always slows down our truckers.
Tough spot through there.
Yes. In fact, they're
Absolutely.
trying to get down here. And in fact, what do you prefer mostly in this town, people or cars?
Well, I work on cars for a living, so I can't answer that.
Well, if you have, well,
I'll
the
recuse
issue-
myself.
what happened, well, speaking of the pumpkin festival, speaking of the pumpkin festival. Last year, there was the Midcoast Coastliner. You seen it?
Yep.
Yes, yeah.
Well, here's some unfortunate news, what Jan told me. You all know it broke down.
Wasn't aware.
It broke down during the pumpkin festival, and in fact, it's a Bud RDC. Nobody makes them anymore. They've been last made in the early 60s. Which is also unfortunate. Even Boston and Maine used them. So, and she told, and I couldn't believe what the price was to try to fix this thing. She said $5 million just to fix a part. Well, it's non-existent. As if we have to tell her to say, hey, take the old engine out and put it in something that we already know how to use.
So you may, it's a good point there. You may run into the same issue with the existing infrastructure with the spur going to Newcastle.
I know.
Not being used and.
Well, it can be used because remember, the Bottle Redemption Center is there.
Yeah.
And with that, they can toss them inside a gondola. With that, you don't need expensive equipment just to lift something high up to get up to the top of the hopper. And you could do it by hand, which also brings the price down. However, with passenger cars, coaches, they're cheaper. They're not self-propelled. Midcoast Rail Service already has the locomotives to pull all of this. The thing is, when the town owns it, ticket prices go down. Because if you're hiring if it's there, as I said, just like if you own the trailer and the truck, I got to pay both. the cost for the get on the coastliner was 20 to 30. Just for one round trip. But what if it's like, if I want to get on for just $5, just like getting on to the New York subway? Because under town ownership, everyone gets the discounts and all those surrounding towns will be able to still use it. However, and yes, under town ownership, we get the profit. Because as I said, under our ownership. Because it's like, my stuff, my rules. Same thing. You agree with that?
Well, I don't know enough about it, Samuel, so.
Well, I know-
Agree or disagree.
I know,
but,
I know, and I know who can answer all your questions. As I said, Janice McNeil. It's not just Midcoast Rail Service she owns, she markets for, it's also the Finger Lakes Railroad. It's a series of rail branches. And I believe you'll find her information if you find, oh, there it is.
Yeah, I think it's on this page.
You can read it, you can read it over if you like.
Well, why don't we'll do this, Samuel. We'll take it into consideration. We appreciate you
Yes.
coming in and presenting. We'll
Yes.
read it.
But don't worry, there's auctions going on with passenger cars at this moment. I can't remember the name of the site, but I can give you a few. Comtrax, Sterling Rail, and what's that one?
A few of them up
Anyway,
there, yeah.
you'll find, say, rail cars for sale, go under Google, you'll find it all.
But we'll take it, yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Consideration. We
In fact, I
appreciate you
found a
bringing in
box-
some.
And in fact, I found a box car that was like almost 15 grand.
Yeah.
It's like, if you can order one big box car, you'll be able to supply all the businesses. And that construction site you mentioned, the material must be fit for the freight car. Like, if it's wood, I guess I need a flat car. But what materials are they dealing with? Fill us in.
Gravel.
Exactly, you need a hopper. The thing is, Midcoast Rail Service already has the hoppers for it. Even though they're mostly used to fill up the how do I put this? They're usually filled with coke, designed for the kilns.
Yeah.
However, they can still be used either, well, the thing is, you're still renting them from them, which could cost more. To alleviate all the other price hikes, it's always by the bulk. You can bring everything down. I mean, I spoke about this with Rennie's, I spoke about this with Hannaford, which is a big player around here. And I told him, hey, if you get refrigerator cars, you'll be able to bring prices down. Because not enough goods are coming in by truck. As you can see from all the info, everything, it all comes down to transportation, and both worlds need to work together. Nobody said one is superior over the other. All of it is under one name, transportation.
Mhm.
So
Well,
with the cooperation of both worlds, you'll be able to do far more efficiently. In fact, this is the twin villages. It's almost like, how do I put this, brother and sister kind of thing. It's all one family. Damariscotta and Newcastle are both involved as one town, not two villages, one town. So with the cooperation with Newcastle on this development, you'll be able to maintain your partnership, which I believe you have good relations with the town, by my guess, with their manager. I mean, you spoke with them before? How are they?
They're good.
I think they're doing all right. We get along fine. We haven't pulled the bridge up.
Then you should get along with this idea. And
Well, Samuel, we'll take it into consideration.
Yes, but still. When I thought of the waste disposal thing, it's like, name something that we produce on such an industrial scale that we often joke about. Trash. Because, I mean, also when I looked at the dumps, that too is getting overloaded. In fact, if you want to maintain a good atmosphere around here, it's like the garbage needs to be taken care of. And guess what? Main Waste Management, the closest one available, that way, is in Brunswick. In fact, we do have two competing waste management organizations, Regional Rubbish and also Pine Street Waste, which both can still work together with the balls and cans or whatever the redemptions are. And in fact, what was that other one?
Well, Samuel,
Yeah, I'm
we'll
trying to think.
let us, you get us a lot of information
Sorry,
tonight.
sorry, I'm not trying to talk your head
No,
off.
that's fine. We do have some stuff to move on to in the docket here
I know.
tonight, so we
Anyway,
appreciate, but you've
I
left some
do like to-
information for us.
But
Um,
to leave one last letter for
yes.
this. You've been to this place?
Been a while,
Well,
but
I
yeah.
want to put in a good word for our folks there. I'm a volunteer there. And basically, we're just trying to get from A to B. Hopefully raise enough funds to build locomotive 11. It's a new locomotive. And also to re-extend the line and hopefully to get to Windsor, because the town manager Wiscasset refused us to go to rebuild back into town. And when I went on the coastline, I talked to someone who knows something about the town manager. He said, that's not like him.
Oh, yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of that, but
But here's
yeah.
another proposal, if you may allow it. Like, to allow a dual rail to come into Newcastle. So that way, people can go to the Windsor Fair. If,
There's a lot to unpack here. We appreciate you.
in fact, I
giving
can
us some
tell you the cost
information.
of a narrow gauge railroad. Compared to a standard gauge, guess what? A 2-foot narrow gauge is 2/5 the cost of a standard gauge. Which means you got less footprint and you'll be able to get across hilly terrain with ease. And in fact,
Awesome.
you save more money doing that. Anyway, that'll be it for now.
Samuel, thank you for coming in. We appreciate the information and we'll take a look at it for you. So thank you.
All right,
Yep.
take care.
More than welcome to hang out for the rest of it. So, yeah.
This is what I came for.
All right. Go. Okay, I think I don't see anybody with the hands up on the thing, so we probably can close down our citizen comments and general correspondence. Manager's report, anything, any highlights there you want to buzz through?
Just adding that, since I put this together, Senator King has also, recommended our project for funding.
It's the exact same project. Do we get it
No,
twice?
no, we don't.
No.
But it does give.
They're gonna fight over it,
Bump up the
yeah.
dollar amount or what?
Fight
The
over it.
one that Pingree agreed.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's the same application, same project, so it gives us a better chance with two of them, advocating for the same project.
That's great.
So
Okay.
that came in since the
Good,
last
good.
one. Other than that,
That's
And the
good.
timing to actually find out about that would be the next congressional.
so
Funding
sure,
cycle.
yeah, quickly to summarize, the way the next steps work, it has to pass through, it's been recommended to the committee, Transportation, Housing, and the Economic Development Committee. If it passes through the committee, it needs to get passed into a bill, and get funded through the federal government's budget. However long that process may take, we've seen, that happen on time. We've seen it delayed with continuing resolutions, and some people in the past couple of years that have been recipients of initial award took another year.
Yeah.
From that initial.
So this is really a big deal.
It is.
It's a
Yeah.
big deal.
It's a $3.5 million
Awesome. Yeah.
request.
Yeah.
So,
And it feels like it's quicker than we anticipated in some ways.
yeah, we did try last year. We did same
Then
process.
some projects have.
We asked for, we applied for a federal grant last year as well. So I mean, we've just been trying to get at them. The difference between last year and this year was we added with the CDS and CPF requests, is we added Coastal Rivers Trail Project to this. And so
Yeah.
hopefully that's what kind of put it over the
Yeah,
edge. I guess.
excellent.
Yeah.
That's great,
So-
Andy.
And I did it, we talked about it briefly. The LCP schedule is tentatively available.
Okay.
2 days in the middle of July is what they're slating for Bristol Road at the moment.
Yeah.
So they're gonna fix all of Bristol Road in 2 days?
They're going to
No.
lay,
It's only a portion of it.
yeah, that process is a pretty thin layer. of
They'll just do it
asphalt that
over.
gets laid.
Yeah. Yeah. That
It's
means
not
no real shoulder
big Per
work.
se, but
Right.
it'll,
Yeah. It'll be smooth for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I just make a proposal for this evening? I know with Josh not being here, we had an executive session on the docket. Is that something we can hold off till, because I think Josh will probably be present on that. I don't know how, is that time sensitive or no?
it can wait.
And same thing with the RFP on the winter maintenance. That might be something that, but that's
Yeah.
gonna go out fairly soon.
That one I wouldn't mind the board weighing in on.
That's fine. Okay.
Yeah,
I just wanted
Done
to,
that past Amanda?
She's reviewing it now currently. There's some
Okay.
things in there that aren't in there now that we know she's working on dispute resolution, breach of contract, termination, those types of things that I was focusing more on performance standards. So she has that and is working on those things. There's some performance pieces in there that I just, I tried to update.
Let's keep that one on, but with the executive session, is that gonna be if we have to push that? That's not gonna throw anything off on, yeah, okay, just wanna make sure we're on the same page.
We're not behind on.
Not today.
Not today, no.
'Cause we
I
didn't
just,
meet
with
again.
one member missing,
We
that
didn't
one, I
meet
think, yeah,
again
yeah.
for two- I mean, longer than 2 weeks.
So that's the other question, right? Then the next meeting date?
Got
That's one of the
changed.
questions.
Yeah,
we
well,
have.
that's gonna come, yeah,
You
exactly.
wanna
come
hit
out.
that now, you
So-
can.
Well, let's get through, we still have some official action. Anybody have any questions on the manager's report before we move on? And Andy hit some highlights, but
No,
you
no.
guys, everybody all set on that one?
Yeah.
There's events, meetings, anything jump out there that,
Yeah, that,
Beware of.
like the June 15th, the
Mhm.
GSB, was that last month? Was that?
June 15th at GSB is our annual town meeting, part 2.
That's the comp plan review.
Oh, no,
Uh,
but it says here, GS,
It's at
Great
the,
Salt Bay School.
right, it's
South.
yeah, hang on.
Yeah,
So it's,
so that's the town
it's the
meeting. though.
15th at 10 a.m.
yeah, it says 6:30 on there, so yeah.
That's the
At
town
Great
meeting,
Salt
right?
Bay Community School.
Yeah, annual budget and
Yeah,
annual budget
I
meeting.
see, I
yeah.
started it and didn't finish it.
Yeah.
So that should read our annual budget.
Yeah.
On the 15th at 10
Yeah.
a.m.
Okay.
Sorry. And included in that will be a brief update on the comp plan. There may be changes to the Spirit of America award for that date that need to coordinate with Dill.
All right, we'll coordinate, okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry.
So, hi.
You're going too fast.
There's no second meeting for the select board the
We
third.
haven't gotten that far yet, Linda. We were talking about the 15th is a Saturday, it's part 2 of the annual town meeting. Instead of being at 6:30 at the school for the school.
Yeah,
Correct.
Right, so normally,
7 days would be the 12th, but that's the day after the election.
Correct.
We didn't do that, so the 19th.
no.
So while we're in there, it's in your report, so,
15th is a meeting for the comp plan at Great Salt Bay.
Okay,
Bring the comp plan to the public.
okay.
the 19th is a holiday, so we're proposing that we move the select board meeting up to the 26th. If that's, that we're bringing up tonight, and then it doesn't have it on here now, but going forward, we'll move the next one, because July 3rd would be the next one, but it would be a week later, so I propose that we move that one up to July, 10th. If that's okay with the board, yeah, so that we were getting there, we ain't gotten there yet, Linda, so we get there, but that's why it's on the 26th. On the proposed events, because we're not gonna be here on the 19th, so,
Thank you.
yeah, no problem. All right, so official action items, we still have a couple things pending there, folks.
It's 10.
Michael, Yeah.
Night, Michael.
we have the
Society.
Midcoast Humane Society agreement. I'm just gonna get
And I
myself
saw
organized here.
Standard, I read through it, but it looked like it's,
Yeah, is there any major changes to that? It's the same
Not that I
thing.
know of, I haven't compared it, they didn't flag any.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. I'll make a
Straightforward.
motion to
Thank you, Tom.
approve the Midcoast Humane Society agreement.
Second,
Yeah, I'll say.
Dan seconds. Any discussion?
no.
All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And same thing here. We have the Lincoln County Shellfish Warden Agreement. I haven't seen anything
I didn't see that.
jumping
Yeah,
up
that's
there.
pretty straightforward.
Did I hear a motion from you, Lieutenant Tom?
Yes, I'll make a
All
motion
right.
to approve that.
Doctor.
Lincoln County Shellfish Warden Agreement.
All right, thank you, Tom. How about a second?
Second.
Andrew, a second? Okay, I couldn't hear you. I've got a bad ear.
I didn't.
Well, that's because you didn't, all right. Andrew, a second. So-
Dan and I were trying to decide
Oh.
who's gonna second.
You can always second.
Yeah, just yell it right out there, folks. Yell it right out there. Any discussion on that? All
No.
right, all those in favor?
That was good.
Okay, so we do have one, another addition here would be the bid openings for the surplus floats, which I think you have two here, right?
Are they in our packets?
No, they're right here.
Waiting to be opened.
So I don't
Oh.
know if we've ever actually done this at a like a bid opening at a meeting.
No, I
So
don't think so.
what's the protocol? We just open them up?
Yeah, you read them into the record.
Oh,
That's
Marina.
exciting.
Okay, this one we
Side
have.
today, I figured it was one that maybe didn't need to have a ton of review ahead of time and surplus old floats and.
So
Someone wants to buy them, we should get.
Because we
the-
have two bids.
Yeah.
It's amazing that we've
Right.
had two bids.
So we have, give me just a second here. This is from, looks like Davies Allen, Chesterfield Associates, Marine Contracts and Engineers out of Westport Island. Any more information than that for the record? There's a business card on here, so. This is dated the 3rd of June, 2024. Our offer for the 10 floats at its, I think it says at Heater Road, something there. As is at Heater Road. There we go. $900. $900 even. Okay, for 10 floats. All right. And let's,
There's another couple, other one there.
no, this is,
That's something different.
that's something different. Yeah.
Probably something worse.
Man. All right, let's open this one up. And this, I believe, is from, this is from Ernest J. Poland Excavation and Town of Damariscotta, floats bid 5/31, 2024. My bid for all floats. And now that looks like that is
It's like 4,000.
4,000,000. Yeah, that looks like 4,000 to me.
Looks like a no-brainer.
Wow,
And you
I like that.
will pass
I
that
like
down
the
just to make
4,000.
sure. My handwriting's terrible. I'm not,
Let's make sure it's not 400, that's for sure.
It is definitely not 400.
yeah, we'll just pass that down, make sure.
What do you think?
that I can
4,000?
there.
Yeah, that's 4,000.
Okay,
Okay.
let's take that
Oh
one.
my God, that'll pay the park.
I'll make a motion to accept the $4,000 bid from Ernest J. Poland.
I didn't
Walpole,
know that.
Maine.
Second,
Second. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Okay, what's going on down there, Andy?
That's great, no, that's
yeah,
what we have to do.
yeah.
I'm gonna pass these bids down to you, okay?
Great.
I'm getting crowded down here with my paperwork, so. Yeah,
Here, I'll get the train out of the way for you. So.
my poor youngest daughter's birthday's today, so she's it's
Oh,
like, I'll be home.
You know,
maybe.
there is an effort there's a fellow lives here off of Elm Street. I can't remember the street, but he's the president of one of the railroad things here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's trying to resurrect transport
Mm.
from here to Rockland.
They are. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I was next to them at the Common Ground Fair last year. I heard 3 days of it. It was very enlightening.
All
I
right.
mean, they really are trying to move forward.
Yeah, oh,
with
yes.
more rail service.
What's that?
What is the stormwater now?
I don't know if I can see that
We
one.
have,
It's not in the package.
we have too much water.
It's not in the package.
All right, so we're through official action items. I think we got everything that was added in there on that one, and you snuck in at last minute. With the board approval, so. All right, so, select board discussion items, Andy's put a couple things on here, first to consider, the stormwater analysis.
Yeah, there's a main infrastructure adaptation fund grant opportunity. One of the things, Michael and I have talked about briefly when we had enrolled in the community partner resiliency partnership, was to, we have some concerns about stormwater and our planning for culverts and drainage, with Church Street, culvert, being replaced there, for Castner Creek, with the need to put the sidewalk and drainage in there.
Yeah.
With the TIF footprint in district, slated for, hopefully for some increased development, the right type at the right scale. That'll all be pushing more water potentially into Castner Creek, thus impacting in the water coming down off of Main Street.
Right.
Kind of from like Hannaford's going back up to almost the coastal rivers, kind of falls down into that Church Street corridor.
Right.
And so one of the things we were looking at was trying to put a foot, kind of going out to almost we haven't put the foot, we're trying to look at what's the scope at which we could identify to do a stormwater analysis,
Mhm.
apply for the funding through this program to look at that. I mean, with the increased intensity of rain events and just again, trying to put it all into perspective.
Mhm.
The state, the community is advocating for the state to, for a couple of reasons, replace the crossing on Business Route 1 for Castner Creek,
Mhm.
for a couple of reasons. The data would be useful for the state. And so the application, the grant would be due, I think, July 1st, early July. July 1. So I'm bringing it to your attention now. I mean, we're Michael and I are doing our work with Lincoln County Regional Planning to try and flesh this out. I've already reached out to someone from the city of Groton, Connecticut, who just put something similar out this calendar year. So who actually has a family member who lives in town, so we're very familiar with the area.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm running that down. I'll have something a little more concrete at the next meeting to review. But it's on our radar, and it was one of the things that was kind of on the checklist for the Community Resilience Partnership, just a different pool of money.
Yeah. Good.
That's really important, Andy.
Proceed. Yep.
Thank you.
Awesome. Keenwoods?
Just trying to, get that on your radar, that and Miles Street, that final phase of Miles Street. But Keene Woods is slated, as far as I know, for some water line improvement or extension into that subdivision. And that the district is working through engineering now, but it's possible that could be going out for construction as early as the spring. We've got some pretty significant drainage work to do out there. And I wouldn't mind just throwing it out there to follow up that water work with drainage work, to try and get that neighborhood cleaned up and improved.
That road is terrible. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. I've been out there in a while. It's take a ride out. It was unfortunately, it's kind of hidden away, and it's not on the main thoroughfare. So it's, I won't say it's been overlooked, but it's been, it needs some improvement. So we definitely need to, if they're coming in to do, there is, and if they're coming to do some waterworks and pipes and whatnot, I don't think we have a choice but address it.
I think it's a good time to look at doing it. Just to follow up, and maybe there's a little bit of, play on that. I mean, we're trying to do better about working with Scott at the district to coordinate and follow, so we don't replace the road and then they come and put the, right? And so just working in kind of.
Don't have what happened on Glidden Street happen.
Yeah. I mean, Mid-Coast Road's another one. It's right there. If we end up doing that work in Keens and Woods, we might think about doing a little bit on Mid-Coast Road. It's a pretty short stretch, but also very bad.
One of those, it's just off the beaten path enough that nobody sees it that often. So, okay. Yep. Oh, good. Keep it on the radar. It needs to happen somehow. So, all right. Winter maintenance. We've got the RFP draft right here, right?
Yeah, so I broke it out into it'll be kind of like one general advertised at the same time, but based on the last conversation, two separate contracts.
Two separate contracts, two different times. Two different dates, right?
They'll be the same dates. I might have, what I did was I started, last time you saw it, it was one document.
Yes.
One notice for an RFP, trying to combine both two different performance standards and two different contracts in one. And so I separated it into two. So some of the dates, at one point I just said copy, duplicate.
Okay.
And so I haven't gone back. I've highlighted all the things I'm trying to think that I need to go back and match up, but the dates will coincide to be the same if.
They will. So you'll accept bids on the same date for both of them. Okay.
I think the big things just to kind of weigh in on, still wanted to make sure we think about the salt and how we're working with that. I did get a bid back from the state bid. Yes, I think it was yesterday.
Oh, okay.
For the price, I believe it was 76.85 or something like that. There's one more we put it in for the GP cog, had advertised one that Mid-Coast cog was able to participate in. So I'm waiting to hear what that one yields. That's a delivered salt price per ton.
So are we talking about buying our own salt versus letting them buy it?
We
talked about that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, just
But
because
is it in the contract for them to buy it?
well, that's what I'm asking you to consider is how do we word that? How do we make sure that the board here feels, however it's worded, that it's
It's
fair, enforceable? I mean, right? I mean, it has been that the contractor paid and brought in salt and sand.
Right.
So that not being out to bid yet, I didn't think it was to our advantage to wait when the state bids were going out. Try and jump on that. It allows us to kind of know how much is coming in and being used. But with the possibility of two contractors potentially using the same pile, we need to kind of think through, how does this work? Do we want to have them submit a bid in which, we take whatever they use off of the monthly payment at the rate that we're buying it at? Do we want, the other alternative was to them just to bid on it, the contract, knowing that the salt's provided, and we don't do anything different. We should expect a lower
Right.
bid.
Because right now, you're under, for sand and salt supplies, you have it, section 2 there is contractor may utilize the town's salt supply.
Mhm.
So that gives an opening where they may, but they can, right now, they could bid on supplying salt as well. Is that what, I'm reading that?
I mean,
Is that what you're asking? I mean, whether we should have it be a definite? That,
it's intended that it would likely be. I mean, the reality is if we commit to buying it, we've got to put
Yeah.
it somewhere. So that all of a sudden there wouldn't be a storage for them.
well, that's what I.
That is what they
yeah.
would use it. So I think realistically, the options are, we do something for this 1 year and then we write it in that they take care of it as it has been for the following 2 years. We try and work it in there that they do access the salt supply we bring in and we take it off of whatever they use, we take it off the monthly payment. In which case they'd be providing us kind of an apples to apples
Mhm.
bid price on, like, you know, think of cost per mile to plow the roads. You can kind of compare it to others and what we've had bid and they just take it off as if they were buying it.
Which do you recommend?
Gotcha.
I don't know that I have a preference. I mean, in, you know, full disclosure, it will require the board to trust the contractor and for the contractor to be, you know, honest and working with us to say this is what they used.
Right.
We don't have a scale or a way to
Unless
do it.
they-
We don't
unless
have
they
staff to
provide
audit
it.
for them.
Yeah, unless they bid it and they provide it.
Right.
Well, and
Maybe-
even then, it's just, you know, we don't know, right, there's an amount that's, you still have the tracking. And
Yeah.
So I think, I think we've, you know, and this has come up before with, buying our own salt, and I think there's benefits to it. I think that's probably where we should stick with, yeah.
The question is, how much money would it save us?
We don't know.
Well, I mean, in general, do we have to weigh?
I don't know that it saves us necessarily. I mean, what you don't. No, I mean, what you have is the option to buy into a state
better-
bid, right? Where there's a large amount of quantities being leveraged. And so you're hopefully getting the most competitive price. We're a small quantity, right? I mean, I'm not saying
Yeah,
we don't use a lot, but when you go to a supplier of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of tons and say, hey, can we buy 750 tons?
Right.
You know, you don't have a lot to leverage there. And
Getting a
then,
better price per unit
right.
cost.
And we're not locked into it for the following year.
We're not locked into the phone. We're not locked in right now. I mean, we put a bid in, we have 2 weeks to commit.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping GP Cogs will come back within that same period of
Yeah.
time, just so we can see which one, if there's a
Yeah.
better price.
Right.
If we commit to it, we're obligated to buy what we put in, but we also have the ability to get up to 125% of what we put in. So
Okay.
we'd be closer to 1,000 tons, which is what we understood the contractor previously was utilizing when we got the numbers last time. So I said, let's bring it down a little bit. You know, knowing that we can get up to 900 or almost 1,000 in this first year as we try this.
I mean, personally, I'm happy with that, with sticking with the, you know, as written and getting our own salt and going with that route.
And trying to work and just see how that works with
Yeah,
us to.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Especially.
It might make the bidding easier too,
Yeah.
Yeah.
without that extra variable in there.
Okay.
All right.
Um,
Stick with that. We'll just make sure, yeah. And you said, yeah, Amanda's working on this with you, where she's been. Make sure our language is all.
yeah, I'm just
Thank you.
going through and
Yeah.
looking to see if there was anything. Working it in a way so that the additional sidewalks that we've been taking care of is in there as a bid alternate, and it's clear that it's not being asked.
Yeah.
That we'll have the option to buy, you know, opt in for someone to do that or not, but that the base bid is clear that we're looking for someone to do the other pieces.
Mhm.
No, that's good. We need to consider it, and if it works, you know, you gotta weigh the time it takes for the town staff to do it and whether it's worthwhile, so.
I mean, for me, one of the things we looked at this year, the whacker was down a fair amount. And so we had to rent something to bring it in. Nothing worked as well as what we had in the previous years. You know, Hugh was very skilled at operating that machine.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a learning curve. We didn't have it for a bunch of the winter. You know, we had the extra cost of rental. So what we were looking at is like, should we have something as a backup? You know, we have a mower, but it's not really capable of doing what we need on the sidewalks. And so do we upgrade that to something that can mow and work in the winter if we need it? And the cost to do that, if you're buying some brand new, you're probably $20,000 to $30,000.
Right, yeah.
So before committing to upgrades to the equipment. We thought maybe it'd be worth knowing what does that cost? Is that something we want to consider? Is it worth one or the other?
Right.
Staff will be utilized regardless. to do
Right, yeah.
Something, if it's not that, there's something else they can do.
Well, and that's how you weigh that out, right? If there's, are they better suited to do certain things? And, if it's they do a cost analysis and they're not getting something else done, and we could have had the sidewalk done for, pennies on the, whatever,
Right.
pennies on the dollar in-house, and it makes sense to at least look into it, Andy. Yeah, absolutely.
I told Amanda, my hope is that we can get this out to bid next week. If there's anything that jumps out at the board and between now and Monday, just let me know. But she's working through some additional pieces.
All right, awesome. So if nobody has anything immediate tonight, just make sure that anything gets to Andy soon, so we can get this rolling along, because you guys are actively working on it. Need to get, is there any suggestions this evening of what we've seen
Do
so
we
far?
need
Anybody?
to,
No.
review it before three weeks? Because we're not meeting in 2.
I don't think so. If you trust me
Okay.
and Amanda to put it together based on the input we've gotten so far and her eyes on the pieces that we've struggled with in the past,
Yeah.
to make sure that's tightened up from her perspective at least.
Exactly.
If you would like, we can bring it back before it goes out. It's totally.
Just so
Fine, too.
final draft or something, but if we need to get it out, I mean, we have this is
Yeah.
time sensitive, so,
Right.
yeah. So
I'm
just
sure Josh
continue.
would want to see it. There's no
I can, before we post it, I can send it around, and if there's
Yeah.
any issues, we can just come back and meet if we need to.
Yeah, okay.
Let's
Let's do that. I mean, it looks, I don't have anything jumping out right now. Looks pretty good, but,
Yeah. Well, Josh would definitely
Yeah.
want to see it.
yeah, I think you're working on that. Okay. We can do there. All right. Anything else under discussion? We're pretty good there. Are we okay pushing the executive session then? I know I asked already, but I make sure it's not I don't think it's time sensitive, but I'd prefer to have all 5 board members here for that, if that could be okay. Is there anything else on the docket we missed?
Well,
Nothing official. Go into select.
Bill, like Andy sent us something that was supposed to.
That's the executive session. Yeah, we're gonna table that because we're missing no, we're missing a member there. So, and yeah. And I think do everybody justice, that's something that I think
Okay.
the whole board should be here for that. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Well, if there's nothing else official, any discussion items? We'll start down this end, Andrea.
I'm too tired.
She's too tired. Okay, that's,
Okay.
you can print that, quote that. I don't know. What do you want?
idea.
Hey, this is all
Jump
public.
in.
Andrea is too tired. Dan, did you bring your slideshow?
I did.
Awesome. All right.
I'm going to sit right up here and.
3 hours?
Yeah.
Slideshow and.
No, I just want to give at least you two guys a heads up about the comp plan. There'll be a public draft
Okay.
going out later this week.
Oh, there will be.
So
Okay.
you can at least start looking it
Okay,
over
great.
when you get a chance.
She's
And
gonna post it tomorrow.
yeah,
Okay.
so,
Yeah.
Okay.
so just look for that. And,
Yeah. All right.
and it'll take you, if you read all of the 300 and something pages,
Take a while.
at least plan for half a day.
Yeah.
So if you want to read the summary part, that might take you a half hour.
Skip
So,
around.
yeah, so.
Okay, no, thanks for the heads up.
Sure.
Appreciate that. Yeah, it's coming out. So awesome.
Well, I just want to make sure that some of the people, hopefully, some of the people that were most outspoken get involved in the
Mhm.
process here. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I hope that they are.
Yeah, I think they'll have a good working group. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I think so. So awesome. Well, I'm not gonna, well, I'll, Andrew, I'm too tired.
Well,
I won't let her be the only one. That was a good meeting. It's, I would appreciate everybody coming in. It's good to have those discussions. So we generally have some empty seats back there, and it's unfortunately it takes.
I
some time
wondered
to
who
pop
these
by.
two guys are, though. You never introduced them.
So this is the hidden press over here. So, yeah.
Are they from EDA or something or what?
No, but they do read the paper.
What's that?
Oh, okay.
Would you folks mind introducing yourselves again? So Linda can get you on record as the press liaison?
Yeah, I'm Nolan Wilkinson. I just moved here, covering, Damariscotta, Newcastle.
Yeah.
For the Lincoln County News.
Awesome. Thank you. Yep.
Yeah,
That's just
my
John.
name's Jonathan. And Jonathan Riley, I also work with the Lincoln County News.
Thank you.
Awesome. There, put the press on the spot this time.
Where did you come from?
Texas.
Oh, Texas, okay.
Oh,
Welcome to Maine. So
we try to keep
So it
it.
takes two of you to do what one person used to do, is that right?
Yes, sir.
So,
Just
Um,
creating and making sure.
we do have, a pile of stuff here to sign, folks. So Andrew, have you signed anything here yet? Okay. It's passing down.
And
but
these things
if
have to be signed as
we're,
well.
if we're good, there's no more business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
You better second that one.
Don made the motion. Andrew's gonna second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? 2, 3, 4, we're good. The meeting is now adjourned and we just need to sign a lot of stuff. So,
Okay,
all right.
why don't you start up there and we'll.
Yep.
That way